Aubrey Singleton had always been the aloof head boy in everyone's eyes. But to me, Aubrey was just an ordinary brother who adored his sister. When I cried, he comforted me. When I got into trouble, he covered for me. Others teased him, calling him a mummy's boy. He neither confirmed nor denied it. I always thought I was different. Until I fell and ended up with a bloody mouth. That's when I realized there was no sister identity. When I noticed Aubrey stopped coming home. I could no longer pretend nothing had happened. Because I remembered, and so did Aubrey. Mom made some soup and asked me to take it to the office and bring Aubrey back. Your brother loves you the most. He'll surely listen to you. I forced a smile, feeling bitter inside. When I arrived at the office, Aubrey was still working overtime. He saw me and expressionlessly looked away. I placed the soup on the desk, and when I opened the lid, a delicious aroma filled the air. Aubrey, Mom made chicken soup. She wants you to come home and not work so hard. I clenched my sleeve, smiling bitterly. Aubrey, I'm sorry about that night. I didn't scare you, did I? I mistook you for someone else. Please don't take it to heart. Aubrey turned his gaze to me, his dark pupils unfathomable. Mistook me for someone else? I don't think there's anyone else around you called Aubrey Singleton. Elsie, you called my name, said you liked me, and even kissed me. I suddenly turned pale. Aubrey's two light sentences were like a death sentence for me. I covered my shaking hand, trying to calm myself. Aubrey, I'm sorry. I'm truly sorry. Aubrey had never called me by my full name, not even when he was angry. So this was what he looked like when he showed no mercy. Aubrey, Mom is worried about you. Please come home. It's your home after all. I said hoarsely, if anyone should leave, it's me. You don't need to avoid me anymore. I'll move out. Please stop avoiding me. As you wish. I moved out, and it's been 2 years since then. During these 2 years, I haven't been back home, even more stubborn than Aubrey. Mom has called me in tears more than once, saying how much she misses me. I feel deeply guilty, after all, without them I might have died long ago. Yet I shamelessly coveted someone else's child. They want me to come home, but how can I face them now? When the seasons changed, I unfortunately caught a cold. After taking 2 cold tablets, I received a call from Mom. To avoid worrying her, I switched the video call to voice only. Darling, what are you up to? Just finished a shower. Did you wash your hair? Don't blow dry it on your own, love. I worry about you when your brother's not there. I paused, feeling a bit dazed. During my 2 years living alone, I thought I had forgotten. Once at home, while blow-drying my hair, I accidentally got it tangled in the dryer. Since then, no matter how late or tired, Aubrey would always dry my hair for me. Hesitating, I sensed Mom was in a good mood today. She said, Darling, are you coming home tomorrow? I'll have your brother pick you up. Before I could answer, she continued. Your brother is bringing his girlfriend home tomorrow. We'll have dinner together and meet her, all right? Mummy misses you so much. It was like a bolt from the blue. I felt my senses go numb, as if that thunderbolt had struck me, leaving me battered and bruised. Elsie? I made small talk, feigning excitement. No need to trouble brother, he's bringing his girlfriend home. I can come back on my own. Sure enough, I developed a fever that night. I didn't want to face Aubrey and his girlfriend so soon. After taking some paracetamol, I waited until evening before returning home. As soon as I opened the door, Mom comforted me with tears. Darling, you've lost so much weight. Afraid she'd notice my fever, I quickly said a few words to reassure her. Mom led me to the dining table, and I glanced around. That's when I saw Aubrey and his girlfriend. According to Mom, they'd known each other since their school days. After starting work, they met again, and with more mature minds, sparks inevitably flew. The girl was intelligent and beautiful, a good match for Aubrey. Indeed, she was the type I imagined Aubrey would fancy. Hello, Aubrey. Hello, sister-in-law, I greeted them graciously. Mom smiled and patted my shoulder, glancing at the blushing Mabel before quickly teasing me. Oh, this child. Don't mind her, Mabel. It's bound to happen sooner or later. Ha ha. Mabel waved it off, while Aubrey frowned at me, clearly displeased. What had I done to upset him now? Clearly, we'd all have to get used to the new titles. The table was laden with my favorite dishes, but I had no appetite. After dinner, instead of joining them for a chat in the living room, I went upstairs alone to pack my things. In my bedroom, there was a large room filled with birthday gifts I'd received over the years. For my 12th birthday, I'd gotten a tiara. Princess and prince themes were all the rage then, and Aubrey, seeing how much I liked it, had one custom made for me. But none of this belonged to me anymore. They belonged to Aubrey's sister. I packed a few clothes and went downstairs. Mom was terribly anxious when she saw me with a suitcase. Darling, can't you stay home tonight? I've got things to do at school, I replied. Then let your brother drive you back. Mom picked up my suitcase and thrust it into Aubrey's hands. But there they stood, side by side, clearly intending to go home together. Why should I intrude on their loving moment? Mabel clung to Aubrey's arm while he held my suitcase. The situation looked rather comical. It's fine, I'll just take a taxi back. How can you take a taxi when your brother's here? Mom said to me kindly, then turned to scold Aubrey. Aubrey! Is it so difficult to drive your sister back? Why are you so reluctant? Aubrey stood there silently and still got an earful. He might be the adored CEO at work and the head boy at school, but at home, he was criticized for everything. After enduring the scolding, Aubrey nodded. He looked at me, dragging the suitcase. Let's go then. The car came to a stop in front of a dilapidated council estate. Aubrey finally couldn't hold back and asked, "What about the flat Mom gave you earlier?" I casually replied, "My boyfriend lives here, so I had no choice." As soon as I finished speaking, I prepared to get out of the car as if I was sprinting. Unexpectedly, Aubrey was quicker and locked the car doors in advance. Elsie, you'd better explain this clearly. Mabel was frightened by Aubrey's cold face and gently tried to persuade him. What are you doing? Don't be so harsh on Elsie. Seeing them being all lovey-dovey in front of me, I felt a bit sick. Would Aubrey treat Mabel the same way he used to treat me? No, they're a couple. Aubrey must treat her 100 times better than he treated me. Explain what? You can date, why can't I? But you didn't tell me, nor did you tell Mom and Dad. Did you tell Mom and Dad when you started dating? Do I need to report everything to you? I don't know which sentence triggered him, but Aubrey's face darkened. Say that again. I felt dizzy and my face turned red. I couldn't stop coughing, and after I finished, tears streamed down my cheeks. I know, you look down on him because he's poor. You despise him. I wiped away my tears. I just want someone who's good to me, someone who loves me. That's enough. If he loves you so much, where is he now? As if on cue, a cold wind blew outside the window. I told him not to come. It's so chilly outside, what if he catches a cold? I had been kicked out of the car. As I struggled to lift my luggage from the boot, Mabel Chaplin got out of the passenger seat. She casually felt my forehead, startling me. I knew you had a fever. I sensed you weren't feeling well at home. Why didn't you say anything when you were unwell? I watched as Mabel rummaged through her bag like she was searching for treasure. Then pulled out a box of medicine and pressed it into my hand. Take these, and let's exchange contact details. You can ring me if you feel worse in the middle of the night. She interrupted, Auntie said you're afraid of injections and medicine, so I bought you some fruit pastilles. They'll make it less bitter. I gave up. Why should women make things difficult for each other? To be honest, I couldn't bring myself to hate Mabel. She was so considerate and ladylike that even if my brother didn't like her, I would. Thank you, sister-in-law. She waved her hand. Don't call me that. Just call me Mabel. And so, without reconciling with Aubrey Singleton, I instead became close with his girlfriend. Mabel was more diligent and talkative than I had imagined. Over time, we started going out for meals and shopping together. I almost forgot she was Aubrey's girlfriend. Mabel loved documenting her life. Everything we did would appear on her Facebook the next moment. The estate you're living in is too old. I'm moving house recently and found a really nice place. Do you want to have a look? I frowned at the photos she sent me. Won't it be very expensive? Mabel winked at me. Not at all. I have a friend who recommended it, so we can get an insider's price. You know how it is. Although they hadn't stopped my card since I moved out. And Aubrey would even send me money from time to time, I hadn't used a penny of it. Even the best apartment would pale in comparison to the Singleton house. I wasn't as delicate as they thought. After all, I had lived in an orphanage for 8 years before. Mabel looked at me and suddenly asked, "What about your boyfriend? Will he move in with you?" I stuck out my tongue. What boyfriend? I lied to my brother about that. For some reason, I felt Mabel breathe a sigh of relief. She said happily, "So that's how it is." But you can't blame him. Aubrey was a bit harsh, but anyone would be angry if their precious little sister, who they've always protected, was secretly living with a man. I gazed at Mabel, but my thoughts kept drifting back to Aubrey. Since that unpleasant parting, I hadn't contacted my brother, yet Mabel kept appearing in my life. Mabel was like a little sun, constantly radiating energy. It seemed Aubrey was taking good care of her. Mabel looked happy. I felt as if I was peering down at myself from the edge of a well. Covered in mud, crouching on a stone, croaking at the sky like a frog. I loved Aubrey. This despicable feeling always prevented me from facing them honestly. I watched their happiness, everyone moving forward on the right track. Perhaps I should forget about Aubrey. I said, "When are you two getting married?" "I'll be your bridesmaid." Mabel shook her head, "It's too early for that. Let's not talk about it." I moved to the same neighborhood as Mabel, though she lived in the next building. The area had good security and a pleasant environment, seemingly a wealthy district. But the property prices were surprisingly low. During this time, I started dating a boyfriend. He was from the same university. At the graduation ceremony, he finally gathered the courage to confess his feelings. I accepted. I tried to immerse myself in this illicit relationship, attempting to prove that my feelings for Aubrey were merely familial dependence, certainly not love. Wilfred was very kind to me. When he smiled, his pointed canine teeth showed. We went on dates like any normal couple. Perhaps because I was spending less time with Mabel, she came to ask me why I hadn't been joining her for meals lately. "I've been eating with my boyfriend," I replied. I teased her, "Mabel, dear, what's the point of always eating with me? You should be dining with my brother to strengthen your relationship." Mabel looked puzzled. "Is this one for real?" I showed her a photo of Wilfred and me together. She stared at it for a while before saying, "Haha. He's handsome." I looked at her curiously. "Why are you sweating so much?" Mabel hurriedly wiped her face, trying to cover it up. "No, I'm not." "What do you mean?" Wilfred had a golden retriever named Buddy, who was incredibly cute. Seeing how much I liked Buddy, Wilfred offered to bring him over for a walk when he went for his evening run. The moment I saw Buddy, I was even more excited than Wilfred. I crouched down to ruffle Buddy's face. He wasn't shy and stuck out his tongue, smiling. Wilfred taught him to recognize me. "Buddy, this is Mummy." Wilfred tried to hold my hand, but I took the dog leash instead, leaving him grasping at air. He said resignedly, "If you like, I can bring Buddy over every day." We walked the dog around the garden. Buddy looked majestic, and all the children who saw him were delighted. Buddy strutted proudly amidst the chorus of compliments. Wilfred had brought a scarf especially for me. "I know you'd rush down without properly bundling up." My mom just finished knitting the scarf. I stopped to let him help me put on the scarf, closing my eyes and tilting my head back, saying, "Well, thank Mummy York then." Wilfred laughed as he wrapped the scarf around my neck. I've been fortunate to meet only good people in my life. I don't know how I ended up in the orphanage, but since being adopted by the Singleton family at 8, I've always been pampered. There, all done. I opened my eyes wide and noticed someone standing not far away. Aubrey was wearing a black coat and black semi-rimmed glasses, the gentle breeze ruffling his hair. In the night, he stood with his hands in his pockets, calmly observing me. Mabel was standing beside him. "Aren't you going to introduce us?" Aubrey Singleton spoke up. His demeanor was so cold that Mabel Chaplin nudged him gently before crouching down to play with the dog, trying to lighten the mood. The title of head boy wasn't given to Aubrey for nothing. He rarely wore glasses, but when he did, paired with his icy demeanor, it was absolutely devastating. Wilfred York looked at me with confusion. "This is my brother, Aubrey," I said, then turned to Aubrey. "Wilfred York, my boyfriend." Upon hearing he was my brother, Wilfred immediately dropped his guard and became polite and serious. He extended his hand, saying, "Oh, you're Elsie's brother. Pleased to meet you, I'm Wilfred York." Aubrey, however, showed no intention of shaking hands. He stood there expressionless, raising an eyebrow when he heard Wilfred call me Elsie. Seeing Wilfred's discomfort and the dog's restlessness, I quickly said, "Why don't you take the dog for a walk? It seems rather pent up." Once Wilfred had left with the dog, Aubrey reached out and pulled down my scarf, revealing my whole face. I looked at him with displeasure. "So this is the person you said was good to you, who loved you," he repeated my earlier words. "You're living in that rundown place for him? What of it?" I glanced at Mabel. Impressive, she'd been so considerate of our sisterly bond that she hadn't said a word about anything. "We've split up." "Why?" I exploded immediately. He was acting like some sort of boss, and I wasn't his employee. His need for control was overwhelming. Smooth talker, all words and no substance, Aubrey dismissed Wilfred as worthless. Seeing my fury, he said in a deep voice, "I have no objection to you dating. The family has never restricted your lifestyle, but it's not so you can be tricked into suffering." Aubrey and I parted on bad terms. Ever since I left home, every meeting with Aubrey ended in discord. I knew he would never indulge me like before, but it still hurt. I claimed I didn't love him anymore, yet my emotions were still swayed by his words. In the depths of night, I dreamed of Aubrey. He gazed at me tenderly, leaning in to brush his cool, thin lips against mine. My hair curled around his fingertips as I heard him say, "Why date? Didn't you say you'd be my bride?" The dream felt so real that upon waking, I doubted if it was just a fantasy. Alas, it wasn't real. The phrase "being Aubrey's bride" takes me back to my secondary school days. Mom had teasingly remarked, "That depends if your brother agrees. If not, how about being Mummy and Daddy's little darling instead?" I anxiously grabbed Aubrey's hand, demanding, "Brother, say yes." Dad laughed, "You can't force these things." I saw Aubrey just smile without speaking, which made me blush with urgency. "Say yes. Quick, say yes." Aubrey humored me, "All right, I agree. With a bride, I'll never find anyone else." I even dragged Aubrey to look at rings, boasting to the clerk, "This is my brother. We're going to get married someday." Aubrey neither confirmed nor denied, just smiled at me, but it gave the poor saleswoman quite a fright. Looking back, I was truly brazen. If I had known then how things would turn out, I would have bitten my tongue and swallowed those words. I would have been content to be his good little sister for life. I broke up with Wilfred York amicably. Throughout our months of dating, I had been forcing myself to forget. But it seems I failed. Especially when I saw Mabel Chaplin's Facebook post. The caption had 2 hearts, one red and one white. The photo was taken in a luxury jewelry store, with the salesperson carefully displaying a diamond ring larger than a pigeon's egg while wearing white gloves. I kept telling myself to forget, but at that moment, I felt an overwhelming sense of bitterness. At the same time, I realized I couldn't develop romantic feelings for Wilfred. He was a wonderful lad, and I couldn't string him along any longer. On the night we broke up, Wilfred listened silently to my apology and then smiled understandingly. "Well then, Elsie, we'll still be good friends." But afterwards, he asked me, "Is it because you fancy someone else?" I hesitated for a moment before apologizing to him again. I knew he was still hurt, and I sincerely hoped he would find a girl 1,000 times better than me. Suddenly, As if remembering something, Wilfred's expression turned peculiar. Aubrey Singleton isn't your real brother, is he? No, he's not. Why do you ask? Wilfred just looked at me, seeming to want to say something but holding back. If you ever find yourself in trouble, don't hesitate to come to me. And, be careful of Aubrey. Be careful? He actually told me to be careful of Aubrey. What did he mean by that? Had Aubrey spoken to Wilfred? Aubrey, it was like a curse. After the breakup, I received a message from Mabel asking how I planned to celebrate my upcoming birthday. I was taken aback, realizing how long I had been tormenting myself. I casually deflected, saying, I'll probably spend it with my boyfriend. In reality, on my birthday, I stayed home alone, bought a lot of beer, and drank myself into a stupor. I missed calls from Mom and Dad, and the next second after I hung up, a birthday gift appeared in my bank account. They likely felt guilty and were trying to make amends. I was in anguish, knowing that I was the one who owed them. I didn't know how to face them, which is why I dared not go home. In a moment of clarity, I picked up my phone and called Aubrey. Aubrey answered but didn't speak. I said, Brother, it's my birthday today. Can I have a birthday gift this year? Go on. I closed my eyes and said, I want you to spend my birthday with me. When Aubrey Singleton arrived, I was already quite drunk. He had bought a cake, and his face darkened at the sight of empty beer cans strewn across the floor. Silently, Aubrey unpacked the cake, lit the candles, and finally placed a party hat on my head. Tears instantly began to flow down my cheeks. I sniffled, closed my eyes to make a wish, but said aloud, I wish Aubrey would stop hating me. Aubrey stood beside me, looking down at me with lowered eyes. I was a mess, crying and sniveling, swaying from side to side in my drunken state. Yet, through sheer willpower, I managed to slur out to Aubrey, Brother, I was so ignorant before. It won't be like that anymore. I pleaded, really, truly, I know I was wrong. Please don't treat me like this anymore. Aubrey coldly asked, Where's your boyfriend? I replied, We broke up. I couldn't do it, I just couldn't. Couldn't do what? Aubrey spoke slowly, Couldn't love him the way you love me? I shook my head, then nodded. Aubrey concluded, So you still love me? I finally collapsed on the sofa, tears streaming down my face, mumbling incoherently about brother not agreeing. Just before I lost consciousness, I heard Aubrey chuckle softly. Elsie, you're quite good at speaking the truth when you're drunk. I woke up with a terrible hangover, unable to remember much from the night before. I must have been quite a mess last night, because this morning I found the housekeeper Aubrey had hired tidying up the place. Moving back home today. I read Aubrey's message. It seemed he had softened after all. He sees me as a little sister, and I've learned to be content with that. I won't hope for anything more. Aubrey had arranged a car downstairs and packed my belongings for me. All I needed to do was get in the car and go home. Darling! Mom exclaimed as she opened the door, gently touching my face. I didn't get to celebrate your birthday yesterday. I'll make it up to you later. Aubrey came home that evening, carrying the cake Mom had asked him to pick up. Mom asked me, now that our little girl has finally graduated, what are your plans? She was already thinking about traveling the world with me. She had always regretted that my long years as a student hadn't left me time to appreciate beautiful places. I said, I might go on a 2-year gap year volunteering program in a rural area with my teacher. The room fell silent as soon as I finished speaking. Absolutely not. Mom was the first to object. It's too dangerous in those rural areas. How could a young woman possibly go there? It's perfectly safe. Our university has been running aid projects in the area for years. Mom was visibly upset. Can't you just stay home with me? You have your brother to look after you out there. Why do you need to work? How could you possibly handle the hardships in a place like that? She glanced meaningfully at the 2 men in the room. Dad, respecting my choice, said, Sweetheart, it's your decision, but I must say I'm not keen on the idea. I don't agree, Aubrey stated firmly. If you want to teach, pick any school in the city. Aubrey ignored me and dropped an even bigger bombshell. He announced casually, as if discussing the weather. Mabel and I have broken up. Mom hadn't even had time to collect herself when she was faced with another shock. Why? She asked. Aubrey took a warm napkin to wipe his hands, then set it aside. No reason. It just didn't feel right, so we ended it, he said. She had always respected our choices, so when Aubrey put it that way, she didn't press further. After dinner, Mom pulled me aside again, saying that my brother's suggestion was a good one. She hoped I would consider it and not go on the gap year volunteering program. Mom's time with you is getting less and less. I'm getting old, Elsie, and selfish. Please don't blame me for it. I couldn't bear to see Mom's vulnerability. This volunteering wasn't something I absolutely had to do. I had only been trying to use time and distance to dilute my feelings for Aubrey. But it didn't matter anymore. Aubrey had broken up with Mabel, so I wouldn't be a bridesmaid at his wedding now. Perhaps by the time he actually gets married, it won't hurt me anymore. I gave Mom my answer. After talking with her, I went back to my room to look for the gifts Aubrey had given me. They were sitting neatly on the desk, 3 of them. It turned out that even during those years when I had moved out and lost contact, Aubrey hadn't forgotten my birthday. I unwrapped one of them. Inside was a set of jewelry. It was the set I had seen while browsing online. I had once shared it with Mabel and expressed how much I liked the piece. To be fair, Mabel would be a very dedicated and thoughtful person, whether as a friend or family member. Even more so as a partner. Their relationship should have been stable. They had even gotten to the point of buying rings. They shouldn't have broken up. Do you like it? I stared wide-eyed, startled. Aubrey had entered my room without me noticing. He closed the door and walked towards me. I do. Thank you, Aubrey. He took the necklace from my hand and moved to put it around my neck. Your hair, he said. Oh, right. I quickly pulled my hair up. His fingertips inadvertently brushed against my skin, making me flinch slightly. I couldn't help but ask, Aubrey, why did you break up with Mabel? He casually fastened the clasp. Didn't you say you liked me? Aubrey said calmly. What did he mean? I dared not move. Was there any connection? Seeing my silence, Aubrey Singleton asked. So you don't like me anymore? I broke into a cold sweat. I don't like you. Aubrey let out a cold laugh. I didn't dare to look back. He said, yesterday on my birthday, you were clutching my sleeve, crying and saying you loved me. I'm never drinking again in my life. Aubrey stroked my hair, his voice laced with danger. Elsie, I gave you a chance. He continued, this time, I won't be as generous as before. My heart skipped a beat, and I gripped his arm, wanting to apologize. But what he did next left me bewildered. The one who loves you, who's good to you. He repeated the words I'd said in the car, whispering in my ear. Elsie, darling, no one in this world will love you more than I do. Aubrey actually said love? My voice trembled, and my palms were sweaty. Is that the kind of love I want? Aubrey chuckled, his gaze falling on the square gift box on my table. Open it again. Following his instruction, I struggled to open the blue velvet box. Inside was the diamond ring I'd seen on Mabel's Facebook. The band was sized for my finger. Now then, is this the kind of love you want? Aubrey looked at me and suddenly kissed me. When we parted, I could still feel the warmth of his lips on mine. He smiled at me and said, since we can't be siblings, why don't we try being lovers? Aubrey held my hand. He seemed to enjoy my startled expression, slowly stroking my hair. In high spirits, he asked, why are you trembling? My teeth chattered. Could I say I didn't love Aubrey? No, I had been waiting for this day for a long time. But, what about Mom and Dad? Aubrey was unconcerned. Just say I forced you. He said, don't worry. If Mother finds out we're together, she'll be happier than anyone. She won't have to worry about you being deceived or meeting the wrong person anymore. Aubrey Singleton and I are together now. Before this, I wouldn't have dared to even dream of it. Aubrey told me that the moment he saw Wilfred York, he almost couldn't control his rage. All that talk about giving me a chance and going for walks was nonsense. He said he should have found a suitable place to keep me permanently confined. That rubbish scarf you like so much. I'll have 180 of them hand-knitted for you. Wilfred and I had broken up long ago, but Aubrey still harbored resentment towards the scarf Mrs. York had knitted. Looking back, I suppose the signs were always there. His sudden anger when he heard I had a live-in boyfriend, locking me in the car. The cold, merciless sarcasm after seeing Wilfred. And countless other instances rejecting everything I did, saying bizarre things. Yet he never forgot my birthday in these 2 years. I've also discovered that Aubrey, usually as calm as an iceberg, is an utter hypocrite. Those fangs he had hidden away finally revealed themselves after I stepped away from his control. What about Mabel? I asked. She has her own life to live, he replied. I thought to myself, well, so do I. Feeling bold, I declared, I'm going to do a gap year volunteering, find a new boyfriend, and live my own life. Aubrey, seated in his office chair, glanced at me from his computer screen. He smiled and said, by all means, try. Much later, I received a text from Wilfred. All right. Elsie, I still can't help but tell you. Not trying to get back together, I have a new girlfriend, just texting you as a friend, heaven knows. Why I suddenly made that face and asked if Aubrey was your brother. I received this. Must be someone's prank, right? I opened the screenshot Wilfred had sent. July 5th, Wednesday, 1907. Elsie Singleton is my personally trained gift, perfect for me. She belongs to me and me alone. It was signed, rather grandly, Aubrey Singleton.